بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي، فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها، والله سميع عليم. الله ولي الذين آمنوا يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور، والذين كفروا أولياؤهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات، أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. ألم تر إلى الذي حاج إبراهيم في ربه أن آتاه الله الملك، إذ قال إبراهيم ربي الذي يحيي ويميت، قال أنا أحيي وأميت. قال إبراهيم فإن الله يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأت بها من المغرب فبهت الذي كفر، والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. أو كالذي مر على قرية وهي خاوية على عروشها، قال أنى يحيي هذه الله بعد موتها، فأماته الله 100 عام ثم بعثه، قال كم لبثت؟ قال لبثت يوما أو بعض يوم، قال بل لبثت 100 عام فانظر إلى طعامك وشرابك لم يتسنه، وانظر إلى حمارك ولنجعلك آية للناس، وانظر إلى العظام كيف ننشزها ثم نكسوها لحما، فلما تبين له قال أعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير. الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. وإذ قال إبراهيم رب أرني كيف تحيي الموتى قال أولم تؤمن قال بلى ولكن ليطمئن قلبي قال فخذ أربعة من الطير فصرهن إليك ثم اجعل على كل جبل منهن جزءا ثم ادعهن يأتينك سعيا واعلم أن الله عزيز حكيم. مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء الله واسع عليم. الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله. الله أكبر. الله. الله أكبر. الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Brothers and sisters, so we're continuing today our weekly series on the stories of the Quran, and specifically the story of Prophet Adam alayhi salam. Now I know there was no session last week, so just to refresh your memory, last time we stopped with the last time we had the session, we ended the session by speaking about the rebellion of Iblis against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he was told to bow to the angels. And we spoke a bit about the meanings of envy versus jealousy and the disease of the heart that afflicted Iblis and which could potentially afflict us all. Today we enter a new stage of the story. Right? A new stage of the story. Today we're going to talk about the brief time that Adam alayhi salam and his wife Hawa spent in paradise. This is an important turning point. There's an important turning point in the story. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he told Adam, وَقُلْنَا يَا آدَمُ أُسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجُكَ الْجَنَّةَ وَكُلَا مِنْهَا رَغَدًا حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. So there's a lot going on in this verse. It's a short verse, but there's a lot going on here. So we're going to break it down step by step. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's telling us that he told Adam alayhi salam and his wife to uskun, settle in paradise, settle in Jannah, which means that they weren't there before and now they're going to settle here. And he's addressing not just Adam alayhi salam, but also his wife. He's addressing mankind and womankind, right? So what happens next implicates all of us. And he tells them what? وَكُلَا مِنْهَا رَغَدًا حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا. And eat from paradise whatever you want. Whatever you want. وَلَا تَقْرَبَ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ. But do not come near this tree. فَتَكُونَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Or you will be from among the wrongdoers. Now it's interesting here that what's emphasized is that Allah told Adam alayhi salam and Hawa he told them both to eat whatever they want. Right? He said, paradise is open for you. All of paradise is open for you. You can have everything you want. So he gave them no restrictions, no limitations, except what? A single tree. This is the one tree. In all of paradise, this is the one tree you don't come near. But everything else is available to you. Everything else is available to you. Now we all know what happens next. Right? Is that even though everything else is open, even though they have access to everything, they still end up coming back to this one tree. And that tells us something really important about human psychology, right? Which is that once something is forbidden, it becomes attractive. Right? It's something that we want. In fact, if it wasn't forbidden, maybe we wouldn't be interested in it. But once we've been told that this is out of reach, now we want it. Now we want it. And subhanAllah, it's important to reflect on this because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made so many things halal for us. Right? So many things are allowed to us. And yet, more often than not, we still end up returning or chasing after the prohibited. So for example, alcohol is prohibited, right? But what's allowed? Everything, right? So water, milk, juice, soda. There's so many options. I mean, there's really an infinite number of options, right? But it's this one thing that we can't let go of. The one thing that we're not allowed, we can't let go of it. So that there's an emphasis here, that all of paradise was open. But still we know that Adam alayhi salam and his wife will still come back to this tree. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He warns them, right? وَلَا تَقْرَبَ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. And the English translation says, don't come near the tree, else you will be from among the wrongdoers. But ظالمين means a little more than just wrongdoers, right? A zalim is an oppressor, right? A transgressor, an oppressor. And who would they be oppressing if they eat from the tree? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Of course not. They're not hurting Allah. Whether or not they eat from the tree has no impact, has no effect on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's not asking them to stay away because He's fearful of the consequences of them coming to the tree. He's not worried about what will happen if they eat from the tree. And there's an important distinction because in some biblical narratives, in some biblical versions of this story, God does seem scared. He does seem worried, anxious, fearful that something bad will happen if Adam eats from the tree. That somehow this will hurt God or challenge God or astaghfirullah. There's no such thing in the story here, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not threatened by Adam alayhi salam eating from the tree. The only one who will be hurt from eating from the tree is Adam alayhi salam himself. Right? So this is why we say that when we sin, we are transgressing against ourselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَمَنْ يَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَقَدْ ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ. Right? And whoever transgresses against the boundaries of Allah, then he has oppressed himself. He has oppressed himself. I want us to keep all this in mind because it's going to be important a few verses down the line. So the command is given. Right? Adam alayhi salam and Eve are to stay away from the tree, to eat from wherever they want but the tree. But they still come and they eat from the tree, right? فَأَزَلَّهُمَا الشَّيْطَانُ عَنْهَا. Shaitan, he caused them to slip. This is how it's described in the Quran. He caused them to slip. And what's my here is that he caused them to eat from the tree. So why is this moment so important? Right? Why is this moment so important? When they eat from the tree. The Christian might say, well, this is because this is the moment that they disobey God, and so as punishment, humanity is expelled to earth. Right? But this isn't really quite how it unfolds in the Quran. The first reason why this moment is so important is because this moment here, when Adam alayhi salam and Hawa, when they disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the moment that they become moral beings. In fact, everything up until this point has been preparing us for this moment. If you remember, how did the story begin? How did the story of Adam alayhi salam in Surah Al-Baqarah begin? It began with the angels asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala why He would create such a destructive, such a potentially violent creation. He's asking, why create humanity who are gonna shed blood, who are gonna spread corruption on earth, when you have us, angels, who are perfect, who praise you, who glorify you, who don't disobey you. And as we said, angels can't disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fact that human beings can spread corruption on earth, can shed blood, means that human beings have a choice. They can decide to do that, or they can decide not to. Right? So we have this free will. We are decision makers. There's a profound fact of human existence. We make decisions. We don't just follow our instincts. We can decide to do something or decide not to do it. So we might be tempted to do something. We might desire something, but we can resist that desire. Just because I want to eat doesn't mean I have to eat. Right? This is what's so incredible about fasting. We willingly refuse to eat. We willingly keep ourselves from eating. Can you find any animal that does this? That when it's hungry, it will decide to stay away from food. Right? This is something that we do. So we have free will. We are moral agents. We make moral decisions. When a lion attacks a deer or some other animal for food, right? We say the lion killed the deer. We won't say that the lion murdered the deer. When a mosquito takes blood from us, yeah, we say it took blood from us. We don't say it stole blood from us. Right? We don't use these words. We don't use words like murder to describe the actions of animals. Have you ever seen an animal murder another animal? Murder is a moral term. Right? It means that a sin has been committed. But when an animal kills another animal for food, it's not committing a sin. It just is. It's just doing what it's doing. But if a human being kills another human being, then we say someone has been murdered. Right? A sin has been committed. A moral transgression has been committed. So we are inherently moral beings. In everything that we do, there is an ethical dimension to it. And this is not true. This is not true of other creations. Right? Again, animals can't commit sins. Animals don't murder each other. They might kill each other, but they don't murder each other. So Adam alayhi salam and Hawa, right here, they become moral beings. Right? The moment they decide to eat from this tree, to disobey the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the moment that they demonstrate that they are moral beings, that they can choose to do right or wrong. And here they have committed a wrong. So there's a monumental moment. And I'll finish with this point, there's still something curious happening here, which is how the Quran describes this moment. Right? فَأَزَلَّهُمَا الشَّيْطَانُ عَنْهَا. Azalla means cause them to slip. Shaitan caused them to slip. And the word slip, when we slip, it's not a big deal, right? I slipped, I tripped. A slip is like, it's a small thing, right? You might lose your footing momentarily, but then you're fine again. So it's a slip, it's a small thing, not a big deal. So this important, monumental, historical moment is described as a slip. Here in this area, it's described as a slip, as if it is being downplayed. Why is that? Why would this moment here be described as merely a slip? Because again, the Christian would look at this and say, this is not a slip. This is the moment. This is the reason why humanity must be punished. Why Adam alayhi salam, why Eve must be punished, and why all of their descendants, all of their progeny must be punished as well here on earth. But the Quran describes it as a slip, which tells us something important. It's that this is an important moment. This is an important moment. But it is not a moment that will lead to our eternal punishment. And this will become very clear. This will become very clear in the coming verses. He expelled them. He caused them to be expelled from what they were in, from the state that they were in. So Adam and Eve have been expelled from paradise. They have been expelled from paradise. And what happens next? What unfolds in the next few verses and the next few ayat is really what distinguishes the story of Adam alayhi salam, truly makes it very, very different from the story as it is recounted in the Bible. Right? We're coming here to an important point of departure. When I first began this series a few weeks ago, I emphasized at the outset that too often, many of our Muslim youth, they confuse the story of Adam alayhi salam as it's told in the Bible with the story of Adam alayhi salam as it is told in the Quran. They are not the same story. And what happens in these next few verses here will show us the depth, will show us just how vast the distance is between these two accounts. And that will be the focus of the lecture next week, inshallah. جزاك الله خيرا وأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.